Welcome back to this deep dive. We're jumping right into Season 4, which we're calling the Retirement Blueprint, mastering IRAs, 401k, and more.
That's right. And today, episode 19, we're tackling a really core component, understanding 401k plans.
Absolutely. And this one's actually a special request. We're doing this for you, John, in Raleigh, North Carolina. You asked for a clearer picture of this, well, crucial retirement tool.
And it's probably worth mentioning, this deep dive, like all our content, is produced by Katie Sainor. She's a certified financial planner and a tax strategist.
Right. So let's get into it. The basics first. What exactly is a 401k?
Okay, think of it like this. It's a special retirement savings account, but one that's offered through your job.
So employer-sponsored, not something I just go open at a bank myself.
Generally, no. It's tied to your employment. It's a workplace benefit.
Got it. Okay, so how does the saving part actually work? If I sign up, what happens?
It's designed to be pretty automatic, actually. You decide how much you want to save from each paycheck. Usually that's a percentage.
Like 5% or 10% of my salary?
Exactly. And then your employer takes that amount out before you even get your pay. It goes straight into the 401k.
Ah, so it makes saving consistent, kind of forces the discipline a bit.
Precisely. It encourages that regular saving habit. Out of sight, out of mind, but working for your future.
Okay, so the money goes in automatically. Does it just sit there then? Or does something happen to it?
Oh, no, it definitely doesn't just sit there. That's the key. The money gets invested.
Invested in what, typically?
Often in things called mutual funds. Think of those as big baskets holding lots of different investments, like stocks and bonds.
Stocks being pieces of companies, bonds like loans.
You got it. The idea is diversification, spreading your money out, aiming for growth over the long haul, for retirement. Employers usually give you a menu of options to choose from.
Including those target date funds I hear about.
Yeah, those are very common. They automatically adjust the mix of investments based on when you plan to retire, getting more conservative over time.
Makes sense. Now, the really big attraction for a lot of people seems to be the tax advantages. Can we break those down?
Absolutely. This is huge. There are basically two main flavors, traditional and Roth 401k.
Okay, let's start with traditional. What's the deal there?
So with a traditional 401k, the money you put in comes out before federal income taxes are calculated on your paycheck.
Pre-tax contributions.
Right. So it lowers your taxable income for that year. Say you earn $50,000 and contribute $5,000. You're generally only taxed on $45,000 for income tax purposes.
Okay, so less tax today. What about FICA taxes, like Social Security?
Ah, good point. Those still apply to your full salary before the 401k deduction, but the income tax saving is immediate.
And the money inside the account.
It grows tax deferred, meaning you don't pay taxes on the investment earnings year after year. The taxes come due only when you withdraw the money in retirement.
Gotcha. Tax break now, pay taxes later.
Yeah.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
So, how does the Roth 401k flip that?
Well, with a Roth 401k, it's the opposite up front. You contribute money after income taxes have already been taken out.
So no immediate tax deduction like the traditional.
Correct. You pay your taxes now, but here's the big kicker. The money grows tax-free, and then, if you follow the rules, your qualified withdrawals in retirement are also completely tax-free.
Wait, both the money I put in and all the earnings come out tax-free later?
Exactly. Assuming it's a qualified distribution generally means you're over 59 and a half and the account's been open 5 years. That's a pretty powerful incentive, especially if you think you might be in a higher tax bracket in retirement than you are now.
That's a critical calculation to make. Okay, another huge thing people talk about is the employer match. What is that? Sounds like free money.
It pretty much is free money. Many employers will actually add money to your account based on how much you contribute yourself. It's an incentive for you to save.
How does that usually work? Is there a standard formula?
It varies a lot. A common one is, say, they match dollar for dollar up to the first 3% of your salary that you contribute. Or maybe they match 50 cents on the dollar up to 6% of your pay.
So if I make $50,000 and put in 3%, that's $1,500. They put in another $1,500.
In that dollar for dollar up to 3% example, yes. That's why everyone says you should at least contribute enough to get the full employer match. It's an immediate return on your money, like an instant raise, really.
Definitely don't want to leave that on the table.
Okay.
Are there limits on how much I can put in each year?
Yes, absolutely. The IRS sets annual limits, and they tend to go up over time. For 2024, the limit for employee contributions is $23,000.
2025.
$23,500.
Okay. What about people who are older, maybe closer to retirement?
Good question. If you're age 50 or over, you can make additional catch-up contributions. That catch-up amount is $7,500 on top of the regular limit. Starting in 2025, people aged 60, 61, 62, and 63 get an even higher catch-up limit, $11,250, 50% more than the regular catch-up, depending on the plan specifics.
Wow, so potentially even more room to save in those critical pre-retirement years. Okay, now back to the employer match for a second. You said it's like free money, but I've heard about vesting. Does that mean I don't own the match money right away?
That's exactly what it means usually. Your own contributions are always 100% yours, no question. But the money your employer puts in, the match, often comes with a vesting schedule.
Meaning I have to work there for a certain amount of time to keep it?
Correct. Think of it as earning that employer money over time. Some plans use cliff vesting. Maybe you work there 3 years and boom, you're 100% vested in all the match money. Leave before 3 years, you might get nothing of the match.
Ouch. What's the alternative?
The other common type is graded vesting. You might get, say, 20% ownership of the match after year 1, 40% after year 2, and so on, until you reach 100% after maybe 5 or 6 years.
So you gradually earn it.
Yeah.
And definitely important to check your specific plan's rules on that.
Absolutely crucial, especially if you're thinking about changing jobs. You need to know what you'd be walking away with or potentially leaving behind.
Makes sense. Now, these accounts are clearly for retirement. What if something happens and I need the money before retirement age, like, say, before age 59 and a half?
Yeah, that's a really important point. The system is designed to discourage early withdrawals. If you take money out before age 59 and a half, you generally face 2 things.
Taxes.
Taxes, definitely. You'll owe ordinary income tax on the withdrawal, depending if it was traditional or Roth non-qualified. And on top of that, there's usually a 10% early withdrawal penalty imposed by the IRS.
A 10% penalty. Ouch. That's significant.
It is. It really reinforces the idea that this money should be left alone to grow for the long term.
Are there any exceptions to that 10% penalty?
Yes, there are some specific exceptions. Things like becoming totally and permanently disabled or having very large medical expenses that exceed a certain threshold.
What about leaving your job?
There's a rule called the separation from service rule. If you leave your employer in or after the year you turn 55 or age 50 for certain public safety workers, you can often take penalty-free withdrawals from that specific 401k.
Okay. And I've heard about hardship withdrawals or loans.
Yes, some plans allow those, but they come with very strict rules and potential downsides.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Hardship withdrawals are typically only for immediate, heavy financial needs and are still taxed, possibly penalized. Loans have to be paid back, usually with interest, and if you leave your job, the loan might become due immediately. They should really be a last resort.
So really try to avoid touching it early if at all possible.
Got it. One more detail on the match you mentioned. Employer match funds are always pre-tax, even if I'm making Roth contributions.
That's correct. It's a nuance people sometimes miss. Your contributions might be Roth, after tax, but any money your employer kicks in as a match goes into the account on a pre-tax basis.
So what does that mean down the road in retirement?
It means when you withdraw that employer match money and any earnings it generated, you will owe income tax on it then, just like withdrawals from a traditional 401k.
Okay, so even if I'm all in on Roth for my part, I'll likely still have some taxable income from my 401k in retirement because of the match.
Exactly. It's something to factor into your retirement tax plan. Okay, this has been incredibly helpful. For someone listening who maybe hasn't started contributing yet or isn't contributing much, what's the key takeaway? The first step?
Just get started, seriously. Go to your HR department or log into your benefits portal and sign up. Even if you start small, maybe just enough to get the full employer match. That's huge.
Because of that free money and compounding.
Precisely. Compounding growth over decades is incredibly powerful. Small amounts saved consistently early on can grow significantly over time. Review your plan info, understand the investment options, maybe even talk to a financial advisor. But the absolute key is to take that first step and start participating.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Okay, great. That's a wrap. I'm Katie St. Ors, and let me send out a huge thank you for listening. If you want more content on personal finance and small business, head over and find me on YouTube. You can also find me on Spotify, Amazon Music, TikTok, and Apple iTunes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next Deep Dive podcast.